someone we knew would choose Hatfield and someone who would become a great asset to this college. Ed didn't take long to prove us right. He has thrown himself into college life, contributing in drama, rowing and welfare to name but a few. He has made a big impact as a junior welfare rep, helping to organise and mobilise campaigns, as well as volunteering for the much-loved Tea and Toast Nights, demonstrating his generosity, creativity and empathy. He has also attended a 9-night training weekend, gaining valuable listening skills. Ed was senior prefect at school, and so has experience in relaying student views to higher authorities, and is therefore highly qualified for the job. He is also not afraid of trying new things, and is open to contributions and criticism. He definitely doesn't just like the sound of his own voice, and is not self-important. Ed wants to vocalise the views of all Hatfield and make your thoughts heard. Whilst Ed would have ideally applied for this position next year, he is a first-year linguist who will be abroad in his third year. Therefore, it's now or never, and he is choosing to. Whilst he will be living out, Ed will make a concerted effort to maintain strong ties with the living in by attending frequent college meals. Ed would hope to set up forums online as an accessible platform by which all Hatfielders can convey their views easily and on their own terms. Finally, Ed is a team player who sees the role of senior man as a facilitator for all Hatfielders, working towards turning your Hatfield dreams into reality. He is charismatic, approachable, reliable, with a contagious Hatfield spirit. His quest to be senior man is a completely selfless one. He is genuine in wanting to make the Hatfield experience the best it can be, and do so with conviction. He would embrace the opportunity to lead this college wholeheartedly. Any man who spends his Friday nights at formal singing college songs before helping others sober up shows his endless dedication to the college and is worthy of your vote. Don't let this opportunity slip by.
3, 2, 1.
Hi, I'm Mike, and I'm here this evening to explain why Esther Swaffield is an excellent candidate to represent Hatfield as your senior man. First of all, a bit about the job. I learned from my time on exec that this position is not all it appears to be. The role of senior man is a complex one. Year in, year out, the key words at Hustings are usually time management, busy, meetings, that sort of thing. But being senior man is not merely the sum of these adjectives. Being senior man means understanding you, the people that make up our JCR, as well as understanding the exec themselves. This statement sounds trivial, but being able to reconcile these is a rare quality indeed. So with this in mind, why do I believe that Esther is the best candidate? Esther is very much a people person. For the freshers here and anybody who has gotten to know her, this point is self-evident. She took the role of senior freshers rep in her stride, confidently coordinating all of the reps while being a friendly face for any questions the freshers may have had. Being an English student, Esther has taken advantage of her relatively few contact hours by filling her schedule with a staggering number of activities. Rowing for Hatfield last year and being hockey captain have proven she has the Hatfield spirit, whilst being a key member of University Triathlon and completing Tough Guy and the Edinburgh Half Marathon show Esther's innate desire to go above and beyond. Furthermore, Esther's voluntary work with a group at Durham Prison demonstrate courage and her love of a challenge. These skills make this position a natural progression for Esther, and I hope that I have convinced some of you that Esther Swaffield is the best candidate to represent you as Hatfield's next senior man. Thank you.
Proposed James as senior man. I feel particularly pleased to have this opportunity because James needs to remind you of his own strengths and weaknesses. Or achievements. His self-deprecating sense of humour and down-to-earth demeanour make him one of the most likeable and unpretentious people I know. He's the sort of guy you'd be proud to introduce to anyone as a friend. He's both confident and approachable, making him an ideal character to speak. And I know he'd be a superb ambassador within the wide university. Hatfield has a lot of stereotypes, I think we know that. But in reality, it's a diverse community of very different people, and I believe that James has a strength of character and sense of fairness to represent every one of them. He's a musician, but also a sportsman. He has a social life, but he also works really hard at his degree. And most importantly, he has a sense of compassion and genuinely cares about the members of this college. From the moment he arrived at Hatfield, James has thrown himself wholeheartedly into college life in a manner I've rarely witnessed in anyone. As his roommate last year, I can testify to his genuine excitement and enthusiasm upon arriving at college that offers its members so much, when I know that a lot of us probably may be too ready to take it for granted. He rows and coxes for the boat club, attends every form possible, can be seen at every college event, is active as an open day rep, freshers rep, and is of course the president of Hatfield's very own Clicky Jack, one of our most preeminent and renowned societies. He has demonstrated a passion for the college, adaptable personal skills. He the ability to represent learners, and competent leadership in a variety of settings. But in my opinion, what makes James different from other high flyers, and therefore a strong choice for senior man, is his willingness to do any job that benefits the college, no matter how great or small. Doing tech for the various events, plays, and concerts isn't exactly a glamorous job, and it's something at which a lot of people would no doubt turn up their noses. But it's a job that needs to be done, it's something we would benefit from, and it's something that requires a lot of time, patience, and skill. So James does it with no complaint, and frankly with recognition. This is why I know that whether he's leading from the front or working behind the scenes, James is always doing so with the best intentions and for absolutely the right reasons. Therefore, I have no doubt in my mind that James is the perfect candidate for the job and can wholeheartedly recommend him to you as the next senior man.
Welcome to Steve members of the JCR. When I was thinking about what to write about Jordan, I was thinking, what do we as a JCR look for in a senior man? I believe the JCR really wants what everything this beautiful man has demonstrated in every facet of his college life today. Experience, loyalty, reliability, approachability, and most importantly, passion. Passion for our values, for our traditions, and all that makes this college great. Each morning when I wake up, or any of you wake up, and look upon this man's face, you look into his eyes and you see steely, Spartan-like determination. In electing Jordan, you will drink a fountain of selflessness that will never fail to quench your thirst. Do I see a man standing before you that will shape the very foundations that we stand on? Serve each and every one of you. I hear you crying, this is their gangster. Are you evidence to back these claims? Do you really challenge these claims? When I praise a man that's contributed so much to all your lives? Many of you may know that Jordan was a senior freshers rep this year. Not only did Penny Widdowson describe Freshers Week circa November 2011 as the pinnacle of the Hatfield College career, but his endeavours there have made him more approachable and recognisable to the first years, and gives him the opportunity to continue to get them involved in college life and living out. Does it stop there? No contract. Not only is he captain of the Imperious Bees football team, but he also fills the role of the line winter treasurer, where he's dealt with all the various college officers. He's a well-connected, organised man with a lot on his plate, and yet he still manages to contribute a monumental amount to college life, and is as reliable as anyone I know. On a personal level, he's done a huge amount to help me run football club this year. I can't thank him enough for that. I can assure you that he has more vision for Hatfield than Steve Jobs has had for Apple. Jordan is a demigod in the true Grecian sense of the word, a Spartacus among us. He is reliable, organised, trustworthy, and passionate. And if Jordan was elected senior man, I can assure you that Hatfield would be considered the worst for it.
Is about to start, and the next exec will be pivotal in feeding information into that process. What are the main areas of improvement you want to see and make projects work?
Yeah, this is something that's going to be coming up very soon and what we're going to have to deal with. And so I believe that what we should really focus on is our improvement in activities and how we've been shown to develop that over the past few years. And in particular, they'd be looking at maintenance of buildings, so our facilities, our activities, how well everyone's getting involved. And so we really want to promote this and look to change this also in the future to improve it as much as possible. The main things that we demonstrate are Hatfield spirit, and I think the best way to do that is through you yourselves, everyone, to show how great Hatfield really is. Thank you.
So with the 5-year review that's going to occur shortly after Easter, I think it's a really exciting time for us as a bunch of students right now to leave our mark on how Hatfield's going to be taken forward for the next 5 years. So the decisions that are made now are going to affect the Hatfielders that we may never meet. And I personally think that's a really valuable opportunity. So things that we can focus on for the 5-year review, obviously things like facilities, buildings, catering, that's quite obvious. But obviously with the increase in fees, it's a really
international students, which is obviously going to really affect the makeup of our college. That's a key thing, which I think we can focus on. Also, participation in clubs and societies. Obviously, we're renowned for being pretty elite in sport, but there's also a huge pool of talent in other areas. We've got a massive amount of talent in the kind of arts department that I think isn't necessarily used on a college level as well as it could be. But in general, with the review coming up, I think the thing to take into account is really as many views as possible. I propose to put together working groups for different areas and then take it forward from there and see what you guys want to contribute to the Hatfielders of the future.
The College Review is an opportunity for every single one of you to put down on paper for the next 5 years what you want to see happen in Hatfield. Whether it's sports, activities, academia, research, facilities in college, whatever's going on, it's your opportunity to say now, but in the next 5 years, this is when we want to look back and say, guys, 5 years ago, this is what we did. Now, with that pressure is a huge responsibility on us, because we're defining the next 5 years of an incredible college. We're defining it not for only for ourselves, but for students who are paying potentially even more than this year's current intake, who have already paid a huge amount. So I think in focus groups, which the new exec will be putting together, it's really a chance for every single person here to think what they love most about Hatfield, put that down on paper and progress that. For me personally, I'd like to see the facilities of college changing, the music room, the reading room, which is already, someone's done a fantastic job painting that. Why not make it even better? The bar, the tennis court, every single thing in college will be improved in this 5-year review, and we can really put something down on paper that we can then look back and say, this is what we did.
The college review is probably the best opportunity any exec could probably have to hear JCR's views. And I think the thing I'd like to improve is basically the JCR's voice in the running of college. I propose having to advertise senior man hours in a weekly email every week, and it's a chance for everyone to get involved in the running of this college. As senior man, the senior man's the main voice of the JCR, and I think the JCR should increase their voice up so that I can represent you and put forward a college review for the next 5 years that would really, really improve what is already a fantastic college. So that's really my main point that I'd like to improve. Obviously, we've got the improvement of facilities and what have you. And in my manifesto, I outlined the introduction of JCR 5-year plans along with this, where we can actually plan financially for the future, how we're going to achieve these ideas. I think the college review will be a fantastic way of you telling me what the college wants, what facilities you want, and how you'd like to make Hatfield better in the future.
For the duration of the next exec, Hatfield will be in the ESO. Is there anything in the framework that you would be looking to change in that time for the benefit of our students?
Okay, so just in case any of you aren't sure, it means that we've become a DSO. We're now under the framework of the wider university. So a JCR in itself, we legally now fall under the DSU as a whole. So on one hand, I think this is a really positive thing. We've now got high accountability to the university. We've got access to people whose job it is to help us with resources, finances, and the running of the college, which I think is exciting. Gives us an opportunity to really link into the DSU as a whole. In terms of things that we're looking to change, we're still obviously in the very early stages of this. We're a year into what we've tied into for 2 years, and at the end of these 2 years, we'll review it and we'll see what you guys think, whether we should carry on or not. In this, there are a few gaps just in the framework, things like they haven't put job descriptions in for us as non-sabbatical presidents, which I think is important, not only for Hatfield, but for other colleges as well. And I think we're still ironing out what it means to be working with the other colleges as well. In total, I think that as a DSO, it gives us a good opportunity to strengthen our links with the university as a whole, working much more efficiently, so we've got resources to do so.
The DSO's framework in itself constitution, which every single college that have said they want to be part of the Durham Student Organisation framework will have to follow. But I think next year we can be pioneers in reviewing this system, in telling other DSO colleges, in telling the DSO Council, which meets fairly regularly, you know, what are the problems, what's working, what's not working, and I want to say that Hatfield was the driving force in making DSOs the ultimate system for governing every college, every student organisation in the university, or saying that maybe not, maybe we need to take a step back. This is an idea that hasn't worked after 3 years, and maybe the sort of charity, the independent charity organisation scheme was a better idea. For myself, there are a few limitations, like Esther said. There are descriptions for independent presidents who are sabbatical. The majority of DSO colleges are sabbatical presidencies. It's only us and Castle, I believe, that don't have sabbatical presidents. I don't think that's a problem. Of course, it would be nice to have things set out to say exactly what our job is. But for me, it's nice to be more in touch with student life, to be a student rather than to step back and draw some silly salary that the top college should be using elsewhere. I think the DSO framework at the moment is positive, but obviously we'll be looking at it over the next year, and I'd like us to be pioneers in that.
Being a DSA this year has given Hatfield lots of advantages that maybe some of you aren't aware of. We've saved a lot of money through insurance and kind of the portfolio of assets that the university has, and I think this is really beneficial to the Hatfield in the future. One or two things that kind of potential problems in the framework. First thing I'm worried about is the fact that Durham University is becoming a lot more centralised. And Durham kind of historically has always been a collegiate university, and perhaps centralising a lot of the kind of colleges into a DSO and potentially new accommodation blocks opposite Maiden Castle that combines a lot of colleges could make Durham lose its collegiate identity. So that's something we would really need to look out for as DSOs develop. We should obviously, framework's still kind of work in progress. So obviously, I'd like to take a leading role in hopefully setting out a fantastic framework for colleges to follow in the future that still represent the views of the JCR presidents and don't let the DSU take control as much as they probably like to.
Yeah, so as already been outlined, now that we are a DSO as of the 1st of August 2011, the DSO framework is subject to change, and we are now in the process of being under these stipulations of the DSO. And it's currently, as it's ongoing, it's subject to ongoing change. I would look very much to be on this council to make sure that we get the best stipulations for our college, because at the end of the day, the decisions that then Durham University will make will affect us directly, so it's important that they are for the best of the colleges concerned. And I'm not the only one in thinking this, because 12 out of 16 other colleges have non-sabbatical senior men or JCR presidents, and therefore there need to be certain clauses outlined which stipulates which have stipulations as to our roles. Also, when reading the Durham Student Organisation Framework, there are a few areas where it is quite vague. It gives a lot of description about finance, for example, but not a lot about health. It's a very brief overview, and because it's subject to change, I'll look into this to make sure that there are stipulations, and guidelines, and make sure that it's as thorough as possible, so we can all benefit from it together.
Given that there are likely to be more students staying in Durham over Easter because of 38-week lets, what plans will you put in place to keep the college community strong during that time?
The 38-week let issue is really a big one for next year. The implications are that you hold your room from when you get it at the beginning of October all the way through until you leave in June. This of course causes problems for open days over Easter, and as Simon has just said, people staying in college. Of course, that college will be staffed over that time. I imagine if larger numbers of students are staying in college, societies will continue to it's important though that we do think about open days and how we're going to provide for open days, given that people have paid for their room for 38 weeks, they're entitled to stay in their room for 38 weeks, and that covers the period over 2 or 3 days, which are open days, which I'm sure many of you will agree, or one of the main reasons you chose Durham and Hatfield as your choice. There's various schemes being talked about as to how to combat that problem, and it's something we can discuss over the next year as to how we'd like to talk about that issue.
Okay, yeah, as James said, 38-week left will kind of encourage people to have their rooms for the whole year. I think it would cause a problem over Easter as we need to provide the kind of Hatfield facilities throughout Easter, if kind of a large majority of the JCR stay over Easter. We have to just think about kind of people that want to go to the gym. If they can't find a gym buddy to go to the gym, that means that they can't go to the gym because they've not got someone to go with. We need to really think about little minor details like that and try and make Hatfield as good as it can be throughout the whole year and not just stop at the end of the term, start at the beginning of the new term. Obviously, open days are kind of a big part that we want to keep. Logistically, having spoken to Simon, the university are kind of a bit unsure of what they're going to do. I think they're going to offer a buyback system for your room, but if you want to stay in, they can't stop you staying in your room for that week. So we obviously need to think seriously hard about how we're going to provide accommodation for open days. And that's something that I've been kind of championing for, is to have the open days and accommodation for people to stay, so they don't become kind of a day open days and they can remain kind of overnight open day. Yeah, and kind of with the 38-week left, with people, if we I hope we can carry on with the college facilities over Easter and kind of what contingency plans to do so.
Particularly next year, it's going to be a big thing with the 38-week lets, and especially next year with the rising tuition fees. So people will really be wanting to get the most out of their money from Hatfield and Durham University as a whole. And therefore, I think it's important to negotiate with the university what kind of facilities they'll be offering throughout this period, as they have promised in their framework that there will be welfare and there will be facilities available, though it needs to be stipulated, what you're going to get for your money whilst the JCR will most likely be going home, because I'm sure they'll want to see their families as well. So therefore, it's very important to make sure that we do have as many facilities as possible functioning, maybe see if there's possibilities to keep the bar open, if there are people staying around, maybe earn a little bit of money working in Hatfield bar, but we've got to make sure that Hatfield does not shut down, because at the end of the day, we all want the most for our money, and I would strive to make that a dream a reality.
Are there any questions from the floor?
Obviously, as everyone else has outlined, it's a big period of change for us at the college, and the fine details of how it's going to work haven't actually been decided yet. It's quite a classic example of the DFU making a decision without an implementation in place. I'd be looking at creating a group whereby we can discuss the different options, because I believe there are a lot of different options of how the 38-week lets are going to work. Primarily, as you guys have outlined, I think it's important to make as much of college as good as possible, so people, if they're going to stay, are going to enjoy staying. And that includes kind of the little practical day-to-day things, such as, are there going to be decent cooking facilities, where if you're staying for 4 weeks over Easter, you're not going to have to live off ready meals and a microwave and A-stairs. Have you got access to things like that that are going to really actually make the difference? So yeah, I propose that rather than making outlandish statements that I can't necessarily promise to keep, so we create a group of people who either you're going to be here, or you're interested in helping people that are going to be here, and discussing how we can liaise with, for example, the social secretary and welfare to make sure that positions are in place. And just along that line, other colleges are in the same position, and I do believe that we work best and we draw on other people's resources and we take the good bits that other people are learning from as well. So I really think it's important to look outside to gain as much for inside as well. Thank you.
Andy, can we have a pause for the camera quickly?